What's up guys, LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now I'm going to do a retrospective. Yes, I recently sat down with my son Xander and rewatched the Stephen King The Stand miniseries. This is the one that was done, I believe, in 1994 with Gary Sinise and Molly Ringwald. And we sat down and we watched the whole thing, all 6 hours of it. I was about his age when I saw it for the first time. And I kind of wanted to share that experience with him, as I have with lots of movies that I love. Sat down and share it with my son and watch it with him for his first time. So I finally had some time. I was like, all right, we can sit down and watch The Stand. So him and I sat down and we watched the whole thing, and it was the first time I've seen it in a little bit, and it really holds up. And I think that just kind of speaks to the timeless tale that Stephen King told with The Stand, and why this story, along with some of his other ones like It and The Shining, they've really stood the test of time, and they've really been able to speak to all audiences despite what year it is. Again, I first watched The Stand maybe 1995, 1996. It was a miniseries that came out in 94. I did not catch it on its original broadcast. It was a year or two after it broadcast when I finally watched it. Got the VHS tapes. It was came in a 2-pack. There were 2 VHS tapes in it, and I bought those at a Walmart or something, brought it home and watched it, and I was just completely mesmerized by this show. It just captured me. And what captured me about it was the epic scope of this story that Stephen King was telling. There were so many characters from all over the country, and these events brought them all together. Not only did these events bring them all together, but these events brought them all together to face an unimaginable evil. And I had every character I could relate to in some way or another. Even characters like Tom Cullen, Glenn Bateman, even characters that I didn't have much in common with back when I was 15 years old. Even characters like that, I found ways to relate to them because these characters were so well fleshed out. They were so well, the story was so well told, and you really learned who these people were because you got to spend so much time with them. Now, if you've watched this or if you've read the book, you know that there's a lot of Christian themes that takes place in this story. Me, I'm a Christian. I've talked about that on this channel a lot. At this time in my life, though, we're talking 15 years old, I believed in God, but I didn't really know what I believed. I was figuring it out, as most 15-year-olds are, just kind of figuring out what my worldview is, what I believe. I know what my parents believe, but what do I believe? And that was kind of what I was figuring out. And then I watched The Stand, and it just captured me. And the end, the supernatural stuff that's obviously happening all throughout this book, but the end really gets supernatural with the hand of God coming down and taking this bomb and setting it off. And the joyous end that Ralph and Larry have when they're seeing this happen, it really kind of just captured my imagination. And I wanted to learn more. I got the book. I read the book, The Stand. Read the whole thing. There's a lot in the book that's not in the miniseries. But it also gave me this desire to learn more about theology. And at that point, that was when I started really diving in and studying the Bible. What does the Bible actually say versus what I'm taught in Sunday school and all that. And not only was I diving into Christian theology, I was also diving into the theology of other world religions, some of the Eastern religions. I dove into Islam and really wanted to learn what that religion says. And I really started learning about the world religions and their belief systems, and especially focused on, number one, their stories of creation, but number two, their stories of the end times. And some of them are a lot more detailed than others are as far as what those two dichotomies are, the creation and the end times. But I was definitely into learning about those at that 15 years old. And that's something that has stuck with me through my entire life. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm still taking religion and theology classes. I'm still diving into the Bible on a regular basis and really figuring out what it has to say. I'm still learning about other cultures, other religions, and other practices, and how they connect, how they're the same, and also how they differ. And obviously, the religion that I settled on, which I hate calling it a religion, is Christianity. I've always said it's more of a relationship. I'm in a relationship with Christ, but I'm also someone who doesn't have any hatred for any other religions. I'm fascinated by all of them, and I want to learn more. I'm always trying to learn more and soak up more as to what do different cultures believe, what do different religions believe, how are they the same, how are they different than what I believe. And The Stand started me on that journey, a journey for answers that I've been searching for my whole life. And I've always said, I believe that Christianity is the correct religion, but that doesn't mean that's what you have to believe. You're going to believe what works for you, whether that's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, an Eastern philosophy, or no philosophy. Maybe your religion is science. Maybe your religion is no religion. Whatever works for you is what works for you. And I'm not going to shed any hate on any of that. Just like I don't want anybody to shed hate on me based on what I believe. But it was The Stand that set me on that journey. When I watched the miniseries when I was 15, read the book, it just set me on that journey. And I've been on that journey ever since. And I have since gone back and revisited The Stand many times. I've read the book, I think 3 times. Believe me, the book's an undertaking. I've read the book 3 times. I've watched the miniseries about once a year. And it's just something that is tied to who I am, because I watched it at that perfect moment in my life, this perfect formative moment in my life where it sparked a need for knowledge and a need for answers. And it's a work of fiction. At no point does Stephen King say that this is how the world is going to end. This is a work of fiction. But it's a work of fiction that sparked enough of my imagination that I wanted to go out and seek what I believe to be truth based on this work of fiction. So Stephen King's The Stand is very much closely tied to who I am. And that's awesome that fictional stories, movies, TV shows, novels, whatever, can have that kind of impact on our life. And that's why they're important. That's why all these mediums are important, because they can play a role in shaping who we are. So my retrospective here on The Stand is that how do I say this? I love it. I think it holds up well. It's dated, sure. but it was dated when it came out. When it came out, came out in the 90s on a story that was written in the 70s. And to save money, when they shot it on film. I forget the kind of film that they shot on, but they shot on a kind of film that actually cost less. Was it 8mm film? I don't remember. I remember reading about the making of it, and they shot it on a film that was cheaper. And because of that, the presentation of it actually looks a little cheaper. But when you look at the production values in this, when you look at the cast, I mean, we had Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald, Ruby Dee, Ozzie Davis, you had Kathy Bates in there in a small role. I mean, you had Ed Harris was in this. I mean, you had star power in this. And the fact that you had this kind of star power in this really gave the film really gave the miniseries a lot of legitimacy. And I don't know that this could get made today in the same fashion that it was made then. They did just remake The Stand a couple years ago. I'm famous for hating it. I've got reviews on this channel about how much I hated that series because it just strayed away from what The Stand is. It wasn't The Stand. It was like it wanted to put on The Stand clothes, but it wasn't actually the story. I hated it. I hated the new one. And that's because you can't tell the 1994 miniseries today. Because CBS, whoever's making it, they're going to want to be safer than that. And they're not going to want to present a piece of Christian storytelling to a mass audience. Not because there's some war or agenda against Christians. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is that they don't want to make it specifically Christian because they want to reach as mass of an audience as possible. And you can understand that thinking, because there's some people that are going to be turned off by it because it's a Christian story, which I'm not even sure if you could classify The Stand as a Christian story. There's a lot of Christian themes in it, but it's also a horror story. But the new version really stripped a lot of that out of there and made it very not clear on who the forces of good and who the forces of evil were, to the point where this is the one thing that just irritates the crap out of me about the new one. In the book and in the miniseries from 1994, they go there to make the stand. Stu, Larry, Glenn, Ralph. They go and they're sent there to make their stand against evil. Stu doesn't make it. He falls by the way. Glenn is killed before the climax of the film. But then Ralph and Larry, they are taken in front of the masses, and that's where they are to make their stand. And in the book and in the miniseries, they got it right. They are standing. They are on their feet. The new miniseries, they are strapped to the floor and they're on their knees. They're not making their stand. That just bothers the crap out of me. Based on what this story is supposed to be and what these characters are supposed to be doing, it's like the makers of the new one were like, well, let's get this completely wrong. And it just didn't work at all. Anyways, I'm not here to talk about the new one. I hate it. I'm here to talk about the original. The original got everything right as far as the feel of what this story should be. So anyways, guys, I'm just kind of rambling now. I love The Stand. It is a part of who I am, and I love the miniseries. I love the novel, and I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't already. Whether you're a believer or not, there's something to be gotten out of this because it's just that good of a story. It is an epic story, over 100 speaking roles, told over the span of almost a year, taking place all over the country, and it's just a phenomenal, epic story that brings lots of different characters together. You care about them, you want them to succeed, you want them to be okay, you know who they are, and it's just phenomenal storytelling. I put it on the level of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. I really do. I think it's that good. So, all right, guys, Stephen King's The Stand. Check it out. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.